What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV back here for another Tottenham update. And yes, you've guessed it once again. We will be starting off with the managerial search and again with Julian Nagelsmann, as Bild are reporting that Julian Nagelsmann refused an offer from Tottenham immediately after his sacking by Bayern Munich. The German coach wanted a break and will not take a job until the summer. And the aggregators are kind of misleading people a bit on this one, because they're saying that Nagelsmann has rejected an approach from Tottenham, which is true, but this all happened when he first got sacked from Bayern Munich and it's nothing new.
Yeah, exactly. This is what we know already, that he looks like he wants to take a break. He wants to assess his options. He doesn't want to jump into bed with another club straight after what happened at Bayern. So it's no surprise to me that Spurs immediately offered him the job, and it's no surprise to me that he's kind of taking a beat, assessing his options before deciding where he wants to manage. And the time will probably do him well. So it's no surprise he rejected us.
Yeah, and when he rejected us, this was before the Chelsea job even came about. So, look, this is going to be a long-winded manager search, so strap yourselves in. But what the Sun are reporting is that Vincent Kompany is now Tottenham's #1 target to replace Antonio Conte. Kompany is believed to be ready to listen if Spurs were to make the move. I mean, like I said, we've spoken about this so many times, Vincent Kompany already. I would definitely get so excited if he was the manager. The job that he's done at Burnley is really super, super impressive. But once again, the reservations are always going to be, is he using Spurs as a stepping stone?
Yeah, and I guess there's no way of knowing. I think naturally he's going to want that City job if it comes available in the near future. So you've got to be wary of that. But in terms of his quality of management, he's clearly done a fantastic job at Burnley. To get Burnley playing the way they are is not easy, and he's done something special there. And albeit
it's a small amount of time as well.
Yeah, albeit he's only been there in a short amount of time. He's only been there a year now. So those reservations are there, but I think having a manager who's been under Pep Guardiola, every manager who seems to be going into management who's been under Guardiola seems to be doing something right. So I can understand why, and also he's got experience in England, so I can understand why the hierarchy are maybe looking at him and thinking he could be a very good target for us. But as we say, we don't know how long Pep's going to be at Man City for, and is he going to be the next in line for the throne? That's what Pep's saying. So that's got to be something we have to be wary of.
Exactly. Next up, let's talk about some players that we've been linked to today. First, starting off with James Madison, as Fabrizio Romano says that Tottenham are monitoring James Madison for sure, but we'll have to wait and see who the new manager is before making any bids. A player that we've been chasing for a while, a player that Levy wanted, but Conte said no. So I guess it just makes sense to make sure who the manager is before making any signings.
Of course. For me, Madison's one of those players where you'd think, it doesn't matter what manager was coming in, you'd think he could fit into a system of a new manager if they're playing attacking football. But how can we start approaching players and signing players? We don't know who the manager is, and especially for the player themselves, like who they going to have those discussions with when they're joining the club to convince them that they got a place in the team for them and all these different things.
I think you know who the answer is to that one.
Yeah, but when if he asks Daniel Levy, okay, so how you see me fit me in the team? What's Levy going to say?
He'll say anything to make them come. Basically, yeah, that's what he'll say. He's like, yeah, you want to play right wing? Yeah, no problem, mate.
But that's not going to convince a player. He wants to have a talk with the manager more often than not in this day and age. So for me, I said this before when we were linked with him, I can't understand how we can be seriously linked with making a bid while we don't have a manager right now going into next season. So it's always going to be put on hold for me.
Yeah, probably right. But we do have other players to talk about as well that aren't being put on hold, apparently. Pedro Gonçalves, we spoke about yesterday. Record Portugal says today that Tottenham have entered the race to sign Sporting forward Pedro Gonçalves. After watching Manuel Ugarte against Arsenal, Spurs will observe Pedro Gonçalves tonight against Juventus. And also, he's a good one, Ugarte. Maybe a bit too similar to what we do have already at the club. But in terms of Pedro Gonçalves, apparently Spurs sending scouts to watch their Europa League clash tonight.
I'm surprised they haven't done it already, but apparently they have. Apparently they have seen him a few times, but I'm a big fan of his. He's been playing centre mid this season. He's played in the forward role previously as well. He's technically very proficient. He's quite good at the defensive side of the game as well. So I think he could really fit in well at this club for sure, depending on, again, who the new manager is.
Yeah. Next up, Alexis McAllister, 90 Min, reporting that Tottenham are keeping a close eye on Brighton midfielder Alexis McAllister. Romano literally just tweeted about it, actually, and he says Alexis McAllister expected to leave in the early summer. Understand there are 3 clubs in the race: Liverpool, Chelsea and Manchester United. These clubs have approached the players' camp to discuss the project. Brighton will soon decide on a price tag. So Romano not mentioning Spurs at all.
Yeah, doesn't surprise me because they're probably all look, Chelsea, we know they're signing anyone and everyone, so not surprised they're involved. Liverpool, we know, need a midfielder. And when it comes to Man United, I mean, they've got Bruno and Eriksen for that kind of role. So I wouldn't say it's a massive necessity, but it can also be a rotation option with Eriksen. He can play further forward. He can play deeper as well. We know Sabitz is probably not going to be there next season unless they sign him permanently. So I can see him fitting in at Man United. But I think Liverpool might be the thing for him because they desperately need midfielders.
Makes sense.
So that would be a good move for both camps. But I hope Spurs are interested because I'm a massive fan of McAllister and how he's really grown this season. Last season he was quite good, and beginning of the season he started the season well. But since the World Cup, I feel like he's grown so much in confidence and he's playing really, really well at the moment. And he's become one of the better attacking midfielders in the Premier League.
Yeah, he's definitely a player that's blossoming at the moment, that's for sure. Next up, let's talk about Dani Olmo. Bild are reporting that Tottenham have been in contact with Dani Olmo over a potential move in the summer. I feel like Spurs have been talking about Dani Olmo as long as I can remember, back from when he was a kid coming through the ranks at Dinamo Zagreb. You know, Spurs were speaking about Spurs getting him in the press, and I think still he's an absolutely unbelievable talent. He really is, and I would love to see him through the door.
He's a good player, Dani Olmo. I really like him. There are question marks what his best position is for Spain. He plays off the left. He does similar for Leipzig, but maybe a bit more of a central area. He can play in the centre, off the left, false nine. There's a few options. I just wonder where he would fit in at Tottenham. Do we sign him as a forward? Do we sign him as a midfielder? Those are the question marks. I feel like people like McAllister, Madison, Gonçalves, they're much more defined as midfielders, whereas Olmo is a bit more of a forward. So I don't know if he's as much as a necessity as those other players, but obviously he's a fine player who would really improve our squad.
Yeah, I think he's a player that's obviously comes as a very versatile player and can fill in at many different roles as well. Not only can he make a role for himself, but he could also fill for other people when they get injured and stuff. So I think it would be an absolutely sensational signing. I really do. But let's move on to the last one, and probably the most unlikely one of the update. And Javi Munoz, a Barcelona journalist, says that Bayern Munich, Tottenham and Manchester United are interested in signing Ansu Fati this summer. I mean, if the likes of Bayern Munich and Manchester United are after him, then the Tottenham interest probably makes it irrelevant.
Yeah, probably. But for me, wonderful talent whose injuries have really plagued him over the last few years, and he hasn't really he was showing a really high level and then he got injured for a while, hasn't quite got back to that level he was showing again. Barcelona as well he hasn't got into the team as much as he was before with their different formations and stuff, but he's a top talent for sure.
20 years of age.
Yeah, he's so young, and he was showing consistently, he looked like he was going to be the next star. He looked like he was keeping pace with Vinicius Jr. and Rodrigo, and then he got a big injury. So maybe, I don't know if it's one Barca are going to be willing to look. They've got so many forwards, so I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they don't think he can reach those heights from his injury. But talent-wise, I think it's a no-brainer. And even considering his injury, I think it's worth taking the risk, but it's whether we can convince him to come ahead of other big clubs. Big question.
Yeah, massive question. I very much have my doubts, and it kind of reminds me of when we signed Giovanni Dos Santos as well, because when we signed him, he was also an up-and-coming star. People tipped him before he joined us to become one of the best players in the world as well, and didn't really materialise to that. But look, that is your Tottenham update for today. Let me know in the comment section below if you have any thoughts regarding any of the news stories we've brought to you today. Like, subscribe and comment, and as always,
come on you Spurs.